Hey, everybody, welcome to the next episode of Real Revenue. I am your host, Brian Hansen, founder and CEO of Brian Hansen Consulting. It's been a little bit since our last episode. I'm very excited to have this one coming back online and very excited and honored to have Melissa McMillan joining us today as well. I've known Melissa for about a year now as we were both getting into our consulting journeys, and Melissa is now general manager at Virio. So we're going to go through her journey to get there, why she decided to get back into corporate after leaving corporate to go into consulting, what she's excited about, and some of her approach to business and life as well. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. All right. So, General Manager of Virio, take us through a little bit about what Virio is, what you're doing over there, and then we'll dig into a little bit some of the specifics on some of the early tactics that you've been deploying.
Wonderful. Yes. So Virio AI is a neo services or service as a software firm. So we are this new wave of companies coming out of the AI revolution that really couldn't have existed probably 12 months or 18 months ago. So think of it as a services firm where instead of a typical customer success manager or account manager, you have a strategic account manager that is basically your go-to-market consultant, and their base layer is driving LinkedIn content. So LinkedIn content for the purpose of pipeline, because that is going to be a very successful avenue as opposed to cold calling, cold emails, things of that nature. But we're also go-to-market partners for all of our customers. So if there are podcasts that people want to get on, conferences that they want to speak at, launches that they need help with, events that they want to throw, to host ICPs for a dinner, right? All of these good things, we can plug into the customer's org and assist them with all things go to market for anything from very early stealth companies that we're helping to launch to enterprise orgs. We work with some enterprises that are like 4 bill plus.
All right, cool. So making sure you hear this right. So LinkedIn, there's a big movement, of course, of individuals creating personal brand on there. Are you talking about the individual people, i.e. CEOs of companies that you're helping with their content, or is it more about the company profile posting about content, or is it both?
Great question. We don't do the company pages, and we advise that folks don't spend a lot of time and energy on the company pages, actually. So the company pages are really going to be followed by employees, maybe customers at most, but it's not going to drive new dollars. So in order to get the new revenue, you want to use the CEO, founder, maybe a CMO, someone at the forefront, a leader at the company that can speak on behalf of the brand and be not only telling people positive things that are going on at the company, right? We see some of the most viral CEOs talk about company and culture and things that are going on there exclusively and have really stellar results, but also making it a little bit more personal, right? Like letting you into them a little bit, talking about their hobbies, their interests, their family, so that not only are you, interested in maybe using this company, but it's like, oh, that CEO or that founder over there is a really likable person that I feel like I can relate to and connect with. That's really important. And then the idea is you're going to be able to create conversations out of the warm engagement, and then nothing is ever a cold interaction. Right? People that you're DMing because they liked your post, that's already warmed up. So we're able to get a far greater number of sales calls scheduled via LinkedIn as the primary kind of baseline, right? So it's like the good content is what's going to lead a couple steps down to sales calls and closing deals. And the kind of numbers that we're seeing are wild. People are routinely getting maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 DMs become a sales meeting, where when you are actually doing cold calling or cold email, as I'm sure many of your viewers know, right, it's like 1%. 3% if you're lucky. You send 250 emails and you probably won't get a single meeting out of any of those.
Yeah, and very personal to me. Like I'm feeling that right now because my business is growing and it's been through referrals. You actually sent me a referral, which I really appreciate. But I also want to layer on top, and I want to layer on top of that an outbound motion. And so I've been working through a lot of this, like who do I contact, who's in my ICP, what type of content is going to speak to that person, but very much specifically, there hasn't been a lot of connection, and so I'm finding my way in this. So it sounds like this is a very worthwhile tool, especially if you guys are thinking through the way the LinkedIn algorithm changes and what is performing well and what is some best practices around those type of things. It's very needed. I could certainly vouch for myself as well.
Yeah, it works very well. And you raise a really good point. So much of it is speaking to your ICP, right? So it's like if my ideal customers are founders and CEOs, I can't just talk about customer success all the time because they're probably not following that and they're probably not interested in that, right? So I have to speak to the kind of problems that founders run into and
Yeah.
do all of my content about that. And there is also a little bit of a period of challenge when you're switching ICPs that we really have to coach people through. Because if you've always been speaking to devs, for example, because you're a dev tool, and now I don't want to only speak to devs, I want to speak to everybody in go to market, or maybe I want to speak to marketing leaders, sales leaders. Those folks are actually able to use my tool now because AI has made it so easy to use my tool. I don't want to only talk to devs. Well, guess what? If you're going to start posting to a totally different vertical of human being, there's going to be a serious period of dip, right? Where suddenly all the devs that follow you are like, what is this? I
Yeah.
don't want to see this, right? And so you have to build yourself back up kind of from nothing and just stay the course, be consistent.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're speaking my language right now. So we can talk further offline. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about you and your role. How you're thinking about well, like what did Virio see that they wanted from you, and what were some of the first exciting levers that you wanted to pull? So maybe a little bit about like your value prop coming in for them, and what excited you about taking on some of the challenges that they were experiencing or opportunities that they had.
Yeah, so Virio found me, and I was consulting. I was really enjoying consulting. I was making good money doing it. I didn't have to really do anything. Everything came from word of mouth or intros and just kind of kept landing in my lap, which made me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when the universe is making it that easy, right? So I felt really good about it. And I've spent the last, I guess, 11 years now building and scaling customer success departments for early to mid stage B2B SaaS companies. So anywhere from seed to maybe Series C, and getting them to their next raise, and in some cases, much higher statuses, one unicorn valuation under my belt. So I wasn't really interested in a services firm or a neo services space. But when we started talking, I was getting more and more curious, like, wow, okay, this is a new green field of type of industry that maybe it would be really smart to be a part of. People keep talking about the SaaS apocalypse and SaaS is dead, SaaS is uninvestable, right? That's all the VCs and thought leaders in Silicon Valley have been saying this and beating this drum. And that had been my bread and butter, right? All I'd ever worked in was B2B SaaS. So it was intriguing that this company that was a neo services, high-powered services firm was interested in me. But I'll tell you, in our first, really all of the interview process, I had been like, I'm not interested in this. It's good to have conversations. It's good to keep that skill sharp. I will always take a conversation, but I'm not going to join these people in this 996 culture. And, I think they might be insane. I don't want to be in office, 100 hours a week. But what changed my mind was I came up in office on a Saturday, when of course the whole office is
A
full.
Saturday. Yes,
On a
yes.
Saturday. Oh, we're here every Saturday. And so I came up on a Saturday because I didn't have any client obligations or meetings. And they started walking me through the numbers. And I was seeing that this company who just came out of stealth this week was at already like 500K in stealth. Then they were about a mil in ARR within 30 days.
Whoa.
And then they've added about $1 million every 30 days since that. So this
Okay.
barely 6 month old company is at like 4 mil in
Okay.
ARR, which puts them at the top like 0.01% of startups. I mean, I think something like less than 5% of startups ever make their first $1 million. So
Yeah.
there's been no need to raise.
Yeah.
Everything is bootstrapped and funded by the fact that we are making money. And so I'll tell you, I the whole time had been like, I'm not going to do this. I'm too old for this 996 stuff. I'm not doing it. But when I saw the numbers, something in my intuition was like, girl,
Yeah.
listen to this. This is important. Like,
Yeah.
don't be that person that had this really incredible opportunity and declined it and then spends the rest of their life kicking themselves. Because like I've told you, and I'm sure you've encountered, there are so many people in Silicon Valley who will tell you at parties and work functions and whatever about how they were almost one of the early hires at Google, or they were this close to being on the founding team at Uber, and they
Yeah.
declined the invitation, they declined the offer, and they're still kicking themselves 10 years later, 15 years later, telling randos at a party about how, oh, this was my biggest mistake. And my
Yeah.
intuition was like, that's going to be you. You're going to be that person. I'm getting like flashbacks to those people that I've met.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I have to listen to that.
Yeah.
I will fire my clients and I will do the 996 because my intuition is screaming that this is actually a really smart thing. And the numbers really backed it up.
Cool. Okay, so let's stick on that for a second then, because to your point, like when I mentioned when we first met, you were getting into consulting. It sounded like it was going well. Then you saw this. I want to stick on like the personal side a little bit on how you think about these decisions. Now, because like to your point on the intuition, who knows if this is where Virio is going to go? Hopefully, it is a significant upside, and you're really well positioned for it. But how did you evaluate that transition from consulting into corporate? I would imagine there are very similar type of functions, regardless of whether you're doing one or the other, because of the role that you fill. Is that true?
Absolutely. I think that for me, especially as someone who really thrives in and has spent my whole career in early stage, so
Mm,
much of consulting is like that as well, because you come in as a consultant, as you've seen many times, right? And you're untying the knots, you're fixing everything that's broken, you're analyzing why there are holes in the bucket, right? Why is there all of this churn? What is it that's not working? And when you're in an early stage startup, you're either building everything from complete scratch and putting out fires, or you're doing that, right? So it's a lot of the time very, very similar work, especially with
mm,
the kind of clients I was working with. I don't think I worked with anybody that was bigger than maybe a series B or C. So I was definitely dealing with startups and in my niche expertise zone as a
yeah.
consultant, just like, being a in-house VP of customer success or director of customer success or whatever the title has been for the past 11 years or so.
Yeah.
And I think that particularly in this space, one thing that was interesting about Virio is that it is not a typical customer success manager or account manager role for everybody in this post-sales department. It's more like they are all consultants. So
Uh,
they are a go-to-market consultant that is internal to the customer's business. And
yeah.
the LinkedIn content is a piece of that, right? Because the LinkedIn content is going to be the best way to drive pipeline, right? That's how you're going to go get new dollars and new revenue. But we're also going to help them with other things. If they're coming out of stealth and launching, great, I've got a video guy for you. We're going to host a party in San Francisco after this conference that all your ICPs will be at. Also, we're going to co-host a dinner for some ICP founders, and we're going to make that happen. Also, there's this conference over here in maybe Las Vegas that's happening later this year that you should really speak at. If you're open to it, I'll reach out to somebody. I'll see if we can get you a spot, right? So we're being a go-to-market consultant for these folks
Yeah.
and helping either, whether it's early stage or enterprise, helping them drive more revenue, build a better brand image in the place that it really matters, right? On LinkedIn, using founder driven content or C-suite level driven content. So it might be a CMO, it might be a CTO, but very often it's a CEO or a founder.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like then, maybe wrapping up a couple things here. It sounds like, if I'm hearing you right, one of the things that is really exciting to you is helping. It's just helping people in general. So as you were just describing what Virio does, to me, again, sitting on the part of somebody who could use this type of help, driving somebody to knowing what works well, specifically for their ICP, specifically for their market, and being able to set aside things that are experimental or aren't going to work, that's really helpful. And so is that how you would describe what you enjoy doing as work, is like just helping people? Because last note about me is like, that's what's really driven me as a consultant too. And I think we vibed over that when we met at coffee. It's like, I can help people. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that how you're seeing this opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's helping people. And if we wanted to go a little bit below that, it's even just solving complex problems.
Mm.
Right. Like, I think that leveraging what I have seen over doing this for so many years and being able to tell someone, like, well, the reason you have all this churn is because you're doing this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. And here's how we fix that, and here are the 10 steps to fixing that. Like, that's very much a strong suit for me, and something that I enjoy doing is helping to untie the knots, right? Fix the things that are broken. And like, one thing that I will tell people all the time, I am not an ideas person. Like,
Mm.
I could never be a founder of a real company, right? Like, I'm never going to come up with a piece of software idea or something like that. That's just not how my brain works. But if somebody else has an idea, right, or something that isn't working, I'm very operationally minded. And so it's like, well, I can easily break down for you what are the 15 things that you need to do to make that happen, right? Or to fix that problem. But that's a totally different skill set, right?
Yeah.
So I will happily come in and fix the problems, build the plane as we're flying it, but I will not be a CEO with a SaaS idea at any point in this lifetime.
No problem. But that's why you're a general manager. Like that is the right you just described what a general manager does well and can fill some of those gaps that a founder or CEO may have on his or her team. So I'm so happy that you found this role. I'm so happy that they found you. What a lucky company to have you. What a lucky host I am to have you as a guest. And so let's wrap it up there. The standard question: where can folks find you? I know you speaking of LinkedIn. I would imagine that's where you hang out as well.
Absolutely. So I am on LinkedIn every single day. Would love to connect with anybody out there, whether they're looking for customer success advice as a CS leader or if they're a founder or anything like that. I'm always happy to just give some friendly advice. One of the things I love about customer success is that I swear we have the nicest people. You can go to a customer success conference, things like that. You will meet the nicest human beings. So I'm always happy to connect with other CS professionals and talk shop about anything that they might be challenged by. But again, anybody who is maybe thinking about building their first customer success team or has some problems in their customer success org that they're trying to solve, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to offer a little bit of friendly advice or have a friendly coffee chat.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I encourage people to do that. And what's your LinkedIn handle?
So it is Melissa-McMillan SF.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
But
We'll put that in the show notes as well so people
yeah,
can
there
find
we
the link
go.
to that.
It's a little hard.
Nice and easy. All good. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. It was wonderful to be here.
All righty. Talk soon.
Talk soon.